Hi, I'm Margaret Lewin, and welcome to Margaret Lewin Quilting. Today we're going to be finishing up our travel duffel bag, so let's get going. I'm really trying to make sure that you can see as much as possible, and I know it's not easy, and for that I do apologize. There, I think if we move it like this, it'll work a little bit better. The last thing that we went through was the line that we needed to stitch to help it fold over, because remember, the soft and stable will easily fold if we stitch it down where we want it to fold, okay? The other thing is, here are my two pockets with my zippers on it, and I decided that I want both of my zippers facing in. Remember, we talked about that, and I told you that I was just a little, I guess OCD is the best thing to say in regards to it. Now, one of the things that I'm not 100% certain of is that I've done this correctly. I thought for certain someplace in the pattern it told me I had to do that. Put this binding on. I am going to double check that though. And if it's different, I'll come back and tell you. The next thing we need to do is take our pocket A and our two zipper pockets, and we'd already put a line down here in regards to where we had to do the placement of this. So I drew my line, and now I've got my pieces, and I'm going to start on one side, pinning it down, and go right across to the other side. I am going to use pins only because I can't get the Wonder Clips inside of here to hold it down, so I'm kind of stuck. So I'm going to use pins. And I'm just going to line them up one right after the other all the way across, pinning them down so hopefully they don't move, because I don't want them moving around. Then once I've done that, I will at that time, I gotta look and see what I have to do. Then at that time, I'll just follow the directions and figure out what I have to do next. Well, let's get these pinned down first. So I'll do this first, and then I'll figure out what comes after this. So I'm getting them all down. All right, so those are all in. They're all lined up. Now, the next thing I do know I have to do is I have to stitch around these. So how I'm going to do it, because I want to do it continuously, is I'll come down here, across, up, back down, across, up, back down, across, and up. And then that will secure these down, and then I can start moving through the next step. One of the things that happens here, I know you see that this is all open. Our handles are going to cover this, so nobody's going to see those seams. So that's what we're doing. I'm going to go back through my directions though and double check this to make sure I did that right. All right, I went back and double checked my directions because I couldn't understand why I'm off like this, because that shouldn't be like that. So I reread the directions, and it looks like I need to trim these up. She gave an exact measurement about how tall they're supposed to be. So I'm going to take these over to my cutting table, and I'm just going to cut off the bottom of them, and then I'm going to top stitch around them again, because I do want to reseal the edge so there aren't issues later on when I go to put it all together. So otherwise it is correct. So what I'm going to do, as I said, I'm going to trim these off, both of them. Then I'm going to stitch around them. I'll repin them down, and then I'm going to go stitching all the way around so that this is secure to the bag. Once I've done that, the next thing we're going to do is move on to our trolley sleeve. And then I believe after our trolley sleeve, we do our handles. So I will be back to show you the placement of the trolley sleeve, and then we'll move on from there. We've got to do a little backup here, because this is, let me get it into the screen for you. This is the inner pocket, and I had actually taken it, undo this, and stitched it down, and it wasn't supposed to be stitched down yet, and now I see why. So I'm going to smooth this back out again. I'm going to clip it on one edge and move on to the next step, which the next step, one of the ways that you're going to check yourself is this folded edge needs to be facing, remember our safety pin needs to face our safety pin. So make sure that you've done that. Then what you're going to do is flip it over. And I'm not certain if you can see it or not, but right here is my stitching line for the inside pocket. Okay, this stitch right here. Okay, and this is an important stitch because what we're going to do now is we're going to take our second pocket, which this is the other one. This is the one that has the trolley sleeve on it. And what we're going to do is put it right side down, right here, in between. We've got lines here and here that are for those are for our handles. So what we want to do is put this in between where the handles are, and we want to align it. I've got it aligned wrong. This way, so that the right side is up. It is centered in between our lines, which I'm double checking my lines because my lines are starting to fade. There it is, just like that. The next thing that's going to happen is we're going to stitch that down, and then we're going to put it up like this, and we'll stitch up these two sides and across the bottom there. But how it starts is just like this, because what we want to do is we want to, this stitching line for here, we want to stitch right on top of here so that we don't have a whole bunch of stitching lines all over the outside. So that's where we're going to put it. I'm going to stitch that down, then I'm going to fold it over, and then I'm going to stitch all the way around all three sides of it. Then we're going to go back and finish off the inner pocket the way I had done it before. So I'm going to stitch this all down, then I'm going to go back, put the pocket up, stitch it down, and then I will be back at that point in time. But I want to get to that point before I come back. Now it's getting a little tough to pin because we definitely are going through a lot of layers here. So just do your very best. You may end up destroying a pin or two. I'm trying to use these older pins of mine. You saw me just with one of my good flower head pins, and I really don't want to use those because those are my good ones. And I definitely am ruining a couple of pins here. Most definitely doing a number on some. So I want to get another pin in over here. And now I'm going to adjust where I'm standing. Let me see if I can get this in better now. Okay, that's better. So what I'm going to do first, as I said, my first stitch is just right here across the bottom. So now I'm going to stitch that. And what's going to end up happening is the way Annie has designed it is I'm going to be stitching right on that line underneath. So it'll be perfect because no one will see my stitching marks. Once I've done that, I'll come on back and show you exactly how I did it. When you're putting these pockets on, hang on. All right. When you're putting these pockets on, what you're going to do is you start out putting right sides together, you stitch along the line according to the directions, and then you fold them back over and you top stitch them. And I'll show you in detail how you do that when I do this next pocket. But the next thing that we're going to be doing after that is we've now got to get our handles on here. And the handles are going to cover all of these raw seams, which is going to be fantastic. I can't wait for that part. So the next thing is grab your handles. You're going to grab your handles and you're going to grab a straight pin. What you need to start out by doing is find the center of your handles. Okay, so I'm going to just take this down, find the center, and just place a pin in there. Just nice straight pin. There it is. I know where it is. The next thing I'm going to do is take these straight pins and use them to line it up at the center. So right now I can see that I've got my center here. So I'm going to take it in. I'm not certain that you can see them, but I do have lines on here that show me where my where my straps are supposed to go. The biggest thing is what we want to make sure that it happens is that these are completely covered. These raw seams right here are completely covered by our bag straps. So I'm going to start by placing that in the center, and then I'm going to put a pin right here to hold it. And then I'm just going to come right over to this side, and let's get the other one going. Again, what we want to make sure is that our seam side's down and that our handles aren't twisted all the way around, because we need them flat and straight when we go to put it together. And what we're going to do is just line the end of this handle up, and then we're going to take the second handle, making certain that I'm not twisted, and I was, so I'm glad I double checked it, and line this one up. What's going to happen is we're just butting those two right together, and I think you can see it. So I will take and put in a couple of pins right there. Now, Annie does indicate that this is a perfect place to use, let me double check what the product's called, double face basting tape. She said it works great here at holding this in place. So I am going to see if I have any. I'm going to remove this pin now too, because I've got it where I want it. Whoops. All right, so there's that. Now I'm going to keep pinning it. Now, as I pin it, I do want to double check from the pattern how far up I go here to make my X. So I'm going to make my box and do my X again so that it's reinforced, because we do need to make sure that that is reinforced. And what I will do is I will put a chalk mark there so that I make sure that that's where I stop, wherever that is. I'll measure it when I get done pinning it and make sure that I stop where I need to stop. So just take your time with this part, because we really want to make sure that our handle is straight. And the last thing we want now after all this work is to have a handle that's not really, really straight. So we do want to make sure of that. Now I'm gonna make a little bit of an adjustment here. I'm not liking how this is lining up. So I'm gonna adjust this just a little bit. Now I'll bring it up. Okay. And here's a straight pin. Okay. So what will happen at this point is I'm going to top stitch all the way around this, securing the handle down and making certain that I do my little X's wherever they have to be according to the pattern. And like I said, there is a number that says, someplace in the pattern it tells me exactly how many inches. I've just bent my pin. It tells me how many inches up or from here I want to be to put my X for a reinforcement. So this is where I'm at right now. I'm almost done. I'm getting there. But I wanted to take a minute and show you that because I think that's important. So the next thing I'll do is just take it over. And when I go through areas like this where we've got 1, 2, 3 layers of soft and stable, I will slow my machine down and I will very, very slowly baste. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to baste here, or stitch, not baste. I'll stitch here and I'm going to stitch out here. So what I'll try to do is stitch right on that line again so that it's not a noticeable thing. How does it look? Does it look pretty straight? I think it does, but I really want to. Yeah, I think it looks pretty straight. Not too bad. Okay, I'm going to get this stitched down and then we will move on to the next step. Oh, I know. One of the things that we really want to make sure of is when we're stitching this is down good, because when we stitch over here and stitch the handles, that's really going to create the pockets on the inside of the bag. So to make certain that I'm good and flat. Let me move it over a little bit for you. So to make certain that I'm good and flat, what I'm going to do is put a couple of pins in the center of the pockets so that this stays nice and flat, because I do not want this moving. And I also don't want to take a chance of this folding over and tucking. I want this to stay nice and flat because I don't want that showing. So let me stick another pin right in here. And if you notice, I am away from the handle, so I can't be disturbing it there. Okay, so we definitely are on our way. I want to pick it up and see what it looks like. Oh, this is going to be so cool. Very, very happy with it so far. All right, I'm going to take it over the sewing machine and I'm going to give it a sew. Before we go on to the next step, which is actually putting our zipper in, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but I've got my zipper right there and I'm ready to put it in. I want to go back and note something in the video on this. When I attached these pockets at first, I thought there was a piece of binding going across here, and I didn't pay close attention. So I had to actually take mine out. When you sew these pockets on, what they're going to be is the same way I show you the trolley strap on the other side. So what you're going to be doing is placing it right sides together, stitching on the line, and then folding it over and top stitching it down. Now I'll turn it back over again so you can see. So see, we have a nice straight line going all the way across this piece, and I felt it was important to take a backtrack and go over that with you again, because I made a mistake the first time. I didn't read the directions clearly and I sewed that wrong. It was not difficult to fix. I just picked it out and went back and fixed it. So the next step is, what we're going to do is we're going to attach our zipper. Now, the way Annie has you attach the zipper is the exact same way she has us always attaching them. I've put it down with binder clips. I'm going to top stitch it. I will trim up my inside a little bit. Then I will fold this over and top stitch again so that I've got a nice clean inside. I'm going to do that. Then she suggests that we open our zipper all the way to attach it to the other side. Once I get my zipper down on both sides, I'll come on back, show you what it looks like, and then we'll proceed on to the next step. Our bags are almost done. So I'll see you in just a few minutes once I get my zipper in. All right, I want you to see this so that you understand. Here's my zipper. I'll put it on one side, okay? I have sewn across my zipper ends, my two ends, because I don't want my zipper tabs or pulls coming off. So I'm going to open it up all the way. Then I'm going to lay it down on my table just like this. So I've got the wrong side facing down on the side that I need to attach my zipper to still. Here's the side that I finished, and then here is my zipper. I'm going to pick up my zipper. I'll do it this way, and then maybe it'll be easier. See, I've got my zipper like this. I'm going to take it over, and I'm just going to lay it right across the top here, lining it up on the edges so that I stay straight. And I'm just going to lay it down. And then, see, I've got my right sides of my zipper together up here. See, my right side of my zipper is against the right side of my bag. I'm going to wonder clip it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to unzip the zipper. I'll get a couple clips in there so it's got a hold. I'm going to unzip my zipper on both sides, because I want that to be totally open so that it's easier for me to sew. I'm going to go back and clip it a little bit more. I'll sew it, trim it like I did the other side, and then top stitch it down. And then I'll come back. I have turned my bag to the right side out. I think you can see that. And I've marked the 4 places. First one being the center of my zipper, center of one side, center of the base, center of the other side. And then this is the end of my bag, one of the 2 end pockets. Zippers at the top. So what I'm going to do now is match right sides together. So I'll slide this in. I'm going to start by matching. I'm going to move my handle out of the way for certain. I'm going to start by matching one side, and I will put some Wonder Clips on it. I don't know that you can see what I'm really doing here, but I'm going to match one side. Then I'm going to slowly make my way around to the other side, making certain that I've got my curves marked here, just so that I've got it nice and straight. Then I'll be ready to see if I'm going to attach the binding or not. Now, there is binding on this inside so that none of your raw seams show. I think it's going to be a little difficult to do, so I'm not 100% certain that I'm going to do it yet. I'll know more once I give it a shot. So I'll give it a shot, see what it's like, and then let you know what I end up doing. Okay, guys, here is the end result. Here is my duffel bag. This is the trolley pocket on the back. Here is the side with the beautiful clips and nice sturdy pockets. I haven't zipped, mine's not zipped up yet. Let me zip it up quick. Okay, there, now it'll just lay a little better. This is the, this side. This is the side with the 2 pockets, and I love the fact that I put both of my zippers zipping in. So we've got 2 nice size pockets, perfect for my phone on the ends. A nice big middle pocket, which is very nice size. And then another pocket over here. 2 end pockets. Here's one, and then here's the other. A pocket in front of the trolley sleeve, and then the trolley sleeve. So that goes over the handle on your luggage. I did get the base for it, so I've got a nice sturdy base in the bottom to hold it. And hang on, I will show you the inside. I did do something different. I did not do the bias binding on the inside. Instead, what I did was I zigzagged it. And you know what? I'm very happy with the zigzagging and not doing all the binding. It just would have been a lot. So I didn't do it, and that's okay. Here's the inside of the bag. I hope you can see in there. It does have 3 really nice size pockets right there, and I'm very pleased with the way it looks on the inside. Nice hard base. Listen. Yep, knocking at the door. So there's my duffel bag. I'll get it up on my shoulder so you can see what it looks like. The very last step that I did was just sewing the ends on, and that's just a matter of following the directions, and that was fine. There was nothing to it. I do suggest that you put the end of the bag against the sole plate of your machine. I do think it makes it a little bit easier. Got a nice padded shoulder strap, and look, there's my bag. I have to stand on my tippy toes, I'm sure. There's my bag. Isn't it just gorgeous? I'm going to see if I can make it just a little bit shorter, which I'm sure I can. And then you'll see what it really looks like hanging. Just a second. Get it a little bit shorter. I'm short. That's all there is to it. There we go. Much better. There's my duffel bag, all ready for my very first vacation with it, or trip. I'm going to take it with me when I go to Kentucky to my daughter's the next time. Isn't it just, I love it. I just am absolutely in love with it. I think it's perfect. I'm really, really proud of myself for this one. There was a lot of detailed work on it, but boy, I got to tell you, it's worth it in the end. So here is part 3, all done, of our Travel Duffle 2.0 by Annie. So there we go. We are done. Time for the next project. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you again really soon. Bye.